Rooflines, where I bring to you professionals in the roofing industry so that you can learn commercial roofing better. If you are a consumer looking to get one of your buildings done, this will help out. If you're a contractor looking into breaking into the commercial roofing world, this will help you as well. Or if you're a ready commercial roofer, you might want to get some tips. You might know everything. I don't know everything. That's why I'm going to be interviewing a whole bunch of people and bringing that to you. My first interview is going to be with John Hunt, very good friend of mine, building envelope consultant, very well-respected building envelope consultant here in the Central Texas, Austin area. So this is Rooflines. Stay tuned. Of insulation. Well, if you're down there, you can't turn anymore. What's procedure to do a good core sample? Rooflines, welcome to my first edition of Rooflines. I asked my good buddy John Hunt here to come and do my very first podcast. John, what exactly is a building envelope consultant?
Building envelope consultant is someone who is experienced in most forms of building envelope construction and is educated in the ways and means of keeping water out of the building, keeping interior air in the building and exterior air and temperature out of the building, and also being competent to observe and discern what is and what isn't right with the building envelope.
Okay, so
in a nutshell.
Give me some good examples of why it is a great idea to hire you.
It's a great idea to hire a building envelope consultant from the owner's standpoint to make sure that they're getting what they're paying for in the building envelope performance. Performance is a big thing right now, even with commissioning, and making sure that everything is installed the way it's supposed to be, tested, and performs the way it's supposed to perform. And as far as architects and engineers, we come alongside them and help make sure they make informed decisions on how the building envelope performs and how the best ways are to keep incompatible materials away from each other and to make sure that those don't get installed, or if they do, they have some sort of separation.
So, I mean, it sounds to me like what your job is keeping the people inside the building comfortable with the air quality and temperature as well. Because if it's cold outside, you want it to be warm inside, or vice versa.
Correct.
Okay. So new construction. You talked about the architect. You talked about general contractor. Well, what about re-roof?
For re-roofs, the owner of the building would want a roof consultant to have an independent third-party opinion and to give a honest assessment whether they need a re-roof or repairs, and also to have somebody to go to when they have questions, and somebody to help with the bidding process, and basically to help keep the roofer honest.
It sounds like a roofer can just go out there and bid a job, and he could mess up the scope of work, or he, like you said, keep him honest. He might be doing something that is not in his scope of work, that he actually showed the building owner, hey, I'm going to tear this area off, I'm going to replace with this thickness of insulation or a cover board. It's going to be fully adhered, and he's doing mechanically attached. It sounds like you would be able to catch those kind of things as well.
Sure, absolutely. In compliance with the building code, compliance with the city ordinances, and to make sure that the system is installed the way it was intended.
Now, why would a roofing contractor, let's talk roofs, why would he not want to see you on the job? Why do their knees shake whenever you roll up on that roof?
Roofing contractors love it when we show up. I think they more love it when we leave. But normally a roofing contractor has a stigma against roofing consultants because roofing consultants have the potential to slow down their project or cost them money. So if if the roofing contractor's got all his ducks in a row and he's installing everything the way he's supposed to, then that roof consultant has an obligation to say that and not necessarily be there just to find something. Well, the theory is, or the thinking is out there that, well, I have to find something.
To put into your report.
To put in a report. I don't like that. You can write a report that says everything complies with contract documents. That is a legitimate report. And to me, that should make the owner feel like they're getting what they paid for. Now, that doesn't always happen. Sometimes you do have to call out the roofer for what does not comply with contract documents. And that's where things get kind of contentious with the roofing contractor.
So if the submittals that he had turned in were all one manufacturer, of course, because it should all come from one manufacturer, you're doing an NDL, no dollar limit, warranted system, and you see brand X on their roof instead of all of the manufacturer that was submitted for the project. So what do you do in that situation when you see brand X out there?
We would definitely call that out in a report and get the manufacturer involved if necessary. If the roofing contractor doesn't agree to change the material to what's supposed to be there, then we'd get the manufacturer in there. Then it would be up to the manufacturer to make a judgment call on what they will and will not accept.
So what are the benefits of having you on the job? Why would a contractor want you there? We already went over why he doesn't like to see you there, but why would he like to see you there?
Well, if normally that happens if we are there on behalf of the contractor and they have engaged us to provide oversight on their part to make sure that the architect doesn't try to ask for things that aren't specified, or we can actually be a go-between between the architect, the owner, and the contractor, just to make sure that everything is copacetic and that we don't have what we call gold plating or scope creep even. I have had in particular, a roofing contractor agree to provide attic ventilation calculations, and roofing contractors do not do that. And I spoke up and said that in a pre-construction meeting, and the architect was not there, but the general contractor and the owner seemed to think that it was a good idea to have them do that. And I told them, if there's anything ever wrong with that attic ventilation, you don't want to have to explain that, well, we just had the roofer do the calculations. That is something that's done in design, and that is something the roofing contractor does not do.
So is that something that you could provide, the calculations for proper ventilation of an attic space?
Yeah, it's in the building code. It's actually very easy to do.
Okay, but that's something that you could definitely do for
Sure.
that. Okay. I'm a member of IBEC, International Institute of Building Envelope Consultants. I know that you are also a member. What is IBEC? Why? Well, first of all, what is it? IBEC.
International Institute of Building Envelope Consultants, formerly the Roof Consultants Institute, and because they're branching out, and there's so much more of roofing consultants being asked to look at walls and below grade waterproofing, especially. They're bringing it all under one umbrella. I think that's a great idea, getting all of the education in one location. And IBEC is just a wealth of education, what do you want to call it, with camaraderie with other building envelope consultants and roof consultants. And it's just a wealth of information.
I really enjoy being part of the organization because I get to meet people like yourself, other consultants that I've become friends with as well. It's very easy to pick up the phone if it's a situation that I've never run into. I can call around to my friends. They say, I don't know, check here. I don't know, check here. Grab this book. This is what went on here. This might be what's going on over there. That's what I really enjoy about the organization, is all of the continuing education, because buildings change. They can
Right.
continue to change. They continue to evolve. Manufacturers continue to put out products out there that we all need to look at and we all need to learn about. And so that's another reason that I really enjoy iBet. Tell me about you, John. I mean, what is your background? Who is John Hunt?
John Hunt is a ex-Air Force guy. I spent 11 years in there right after high school, and that really got me into inspections. I mean, there we did perform inspections of mainly gun systems, but it definitely gave me the tools I needed that helped me in the roofing realm. After I got out, I went into my uncle's roofing company, which we did commercial, residential roofing in Florida as well as waterproofing. And 14, 15 years of that went into roof consulting, and I definitely like this end of it better. It's been about 7 years now of dealing with roofing contractors from this side and understanding where they're coming from and being able to tell them, hey, I used to be a roofing contractor. I know exactly what you're going through. Now let's get the submittal straight, or let's get this roof done correctly. And that seems to work. It seems to get a different level of respect from roofing contractors when they know they're dealing with one of their own, instead of someone who's just been in school and read something in a book or was told something one time.
No, because you speak their language.
I speak their language, and I can even speak with the crews in Spanish when needed. So that tends to give me a little bit of an edge in the roofing world, to where they'll open up to me if I can speak a little bit, and sometimes they'll even give you they'll even give up information on themselves. Well, and even ask you, what do you think about this, or what do you think about that? We're planning on doing this over here. Do you think we should change this? That is invaluable in this realm, and
Absolutely. I mean, it's all about communication.
It's all about communication.
It really is. I mean, they see you come up on a job, and of course, sometimes they're like, oh no, he's here. But then they can actually go up to you and ask you, hey, we're about to do this here. What are your thoughts? What is your experience? Is this right? Is this wrong? What do you think?
It's about getting them to communicate with you, because a lot of times you show up on a job site with and there's roofing contractors there. No matter what time, they see a guy in khaki pants, a nice white shirt,
Holding the clipboard.
He's got a camera. A clean reflective vest and a clean hard hat. Those guys scatter like cockroaches when you turn the lights on. So if you can get them to not do that and actually talk to you and not be such a stickler of things, and work with them, come alongside of the roofing contractor, then you'll find you'll get a much better product, and you'll find that when you see them on the next job, it's a friendly greeting instead of everybody runs.
Yeah.
And because I've been able to do that for the last 7 years, I think I've been very successful in this arena.
So, typical day in the life of...
Typical day in the life of a consultant is everything I just spoke to you about on job sites. It's also putting together specifications, AutoCAD drawings, dealing with owners, talking with them, giving them assessments about what's good and what's bad, or what you think they should do, as well as property condition assessments, and teaching the new people coming up.
So are you doing inspections while you're out on these projects?
We are doing observations, but not inspections.
So what is the difference? Because you know that I use that word on purpose.
The inspections are a very specific legal term that we as consultants don't fall into that realm. We do an observation and provide whether things comply with the contract documents or the specifications or the manufacturer's installation instructions or they don't comply. So in our realm, because we don't perform a full inspection the way the legal side of things terms defines it, or the way the manufacturer defines it. So only a manufacturer can perform an inspection. Every report that you get from a consultant should say observation.
Yeah. So worst job. Let's talk about your worst job that you've been involved with.
Worst job is probably one recently where a roofing contractor was hired to replace a roof, and he misread what the public adjuster put in his report, and he ended up taking off not only the roof but also the lightweight insulated concrete all the way down to a light gauge steel deck, which is basically just a form for the lightweight insulated concrete. And
because one can't perform without the other.
That's right.
And so he took out all that lightweight and just left that thin piece of metal up there.
Just left the pieces of it. It was really just a form. It wasn't even, in my view, a deck, so to speak, as we would have today in a steel roof deck. Older building.
And the slope was in the lightweight, was it not?
Slope was in the lightweight insulated concrete, and he put back flat stock insulation. So
he
didn't do 2 roof cores. He only did 1. So normally you would do the cores at the lowest point and at the highest point, and then that'll give you your slope. And he did not do that. So that roof ended up getting installed with flat stock insulation, single ply membrane, and it had no slope to it. And he would have got away with it, except his heat welding was crap, for lack of a better term, to where I could open up seams by hand. And that building just leaked all over the place. And had he done his seaming correctly, and all these seams were actually heat welded correctly, that building would not have leaked, and the owner would have never even known that they had a problem until a windstorm came by and blew the roof off, or the
could it have collapsed? I mean, was there enough?
It could have collapsed if there was enough water. It drained pretty much to the edges, but anything's possible in that scenario. You really don't know. But the bottom line is, if he would have had a roof consultant in the beginning, that wouldn't have happened. He would have got someone, hopefully competent roof consultant, would have let him know that lightweight insulating concrete needs to stay there, and or they would have just put a big fat tapered system over top of it. Either way.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk ethics. I mean, that's a good segue into ethics. Owner calls you, just like they did on this last project, but now the owner calls you. He thinks that he has the worst roof possible up there. You go out, you do your inspection, but you really don't find anything but a couple of leaks. I mean, what do you do in that situation?
In that situation, I would do an assessment, not an inspection, and I would provide a report based on what the conditions actually were. We're not really there to make sure a roof goes in one direction or another, regardless of what the owner wants. So I have had scenarios where owner thought his whole roof was installed poorly, and I went out there and it really was not installed poorly. They had a few leaks over the, 1 or 2 years that it had been there, and they had been back there to take care of them. And even the day we were there, that was raining and there were no leaks. And I basically told the guy, hey, the roof looks good. I can't find anything that I could put in a report that would be really much more than a punch list item. Definitely not anything that would require a full roof replacement or for the contractors to start the legal proceedings.
Even though the owner wanted it, He wanted you to write that. He wanted to get back at this roofer for whatever reason, but you chose to be able to sleep at night and look yourself in the mirror and
Absolutely.
give him the absolute truth. Hey, just a couple of things here and there, and it's perfectly fine.
Absolutely.
So, why? Another question. Why get you on a storm damage claim? Roofing contractor is having problems with the insurance company. It is either hail damage, wind damage, windstorm, whatever it is. Why should a contractor call you to help out?
Independent third-party opinion. We can offer opinions if the roof just needs repairs or if it's beyond repair and needs a full replacement. And if that happens where they do actually need a full replacement, you need to be able to document that to your owner with photographs and descriptions and references if you need to, just to make sure that they understand what the actual situation is so they can make an informed decision. And then once they have, then the insurance company can come in, and sometimes they'll deny a claim, and sometimes we get called in to give our independent third-party opinion.
Right.
Expert opinion, exactly right, on what it is. So if the insurance company denies it, then you've got a potential claim for bad faith claim. So they want to avoid that, and then things get sticky.
Absolutely.
Right. So with what if it does go that it gets changed, they'll usually end up writing a check, really big check for repairs, and the roofing contractor will come in and say, hey, I'll do everything for whatever the insurance company is paying. So that's usually very high number for them, and that's great work for them to get, but doesn't necessarily need to be that way. And you don't really have anybody watching them if you don't have a consultant, because it would really be horrible to have your perfectly good roof get damaged in a storm. You get a big fat check to get your roof replaced, and then some roofer comes by, gives you a
subpar.
There you go, a subpar roof installation, and then you got leaks. Or even worse, he just does a horrible job of the installation, and the whole roof is crap, and you end up with nothing but problems with it, leaks being the least of them. And it can just snowball into a big mess, to which if you put a little money, cheap insurance I call it, for a roof consultant out in the beginning, you can ensure you get a roof installed correctly.
And this is actually instead of calling a public adjuster, because a public adjuster would cost you 10% of the claim, whereas if call Mr. John Hunt out there, it's going to cost a lot less, and you are getting an expert third-party opinion. The only thing that you really cannot do would be write up a claim with the dollar amount,
Correct.
but you could write scope.
Sure, we can write the scope and get bids and make sure everybody bids apples to apples.
So it sounds like you enjoy what you're doing. If someone wanted to break into this consultant field, how could they do that? What advice would you give?
Experience is the biggest thing. Experience, and then education, and then the willingness to want to do it. You can get experience from a contractor's, general contractor, or a roofing contractor. It's getting somebody to train you that's going to be the biggest thing. I had really good training in the roofing world and waterproofing world, as well as being on the consultant side. And IBEC is probably the best place to go that I've seen for that training. There is also training for manufacturers that's really good. A lot of it's hands-on practical. There's no replacement for that. And getting the registrations from IBEC for like registered roof observer, registered roof consultant. They even have registered waterproofing something. I can't remember what the acronym is, but roofing, waterproofing, the whole works. They've got it. And from what I understand, they have commissioning coming too. But it really is an interesting field to be in. I know architects who have come out of architecture into our field and just enjoy this a whole lot better, a whole lot more. It's just a niche field that I think it gives you a lot more job satisfaction.
Absolutely. Well, John, thank you so much for being on my first podcast. Really appreciate you coming out.
Thanks, Jay.
So John Hunto's Garage, is that your podcast that you have going on also?
Jay Hunto's Garage, not Jay Leno's Garage. That's on YouTube.
Thanks for coming out. Thanks for listening to me. Thanks for watching Versco Raise the V. Karnak Cements and Coatings. See you soon. Thank you.